Warning: watching this video may actually cause you to learn something. What's going on, everybody? Brass Monkeigh here, and I've got a word to the wise here. Don't ever record sniper gameplay from theater mode, because if you have any kind of lag whatsoever when you're playing the game, your sniper shots are going to look like they are way off, and you'll see that in a second. I mean, when I was playing this game, it looked like I was hitting the shots, but turns out I had a little bit of lag going on because, as you'll see in a second, like I hit this guy because he wasn't moving, but this guy who goes up on the catwalk up here, my shots look like they are way off. So on my screen it looked like I was hitting them, but I mean, you can see this is how lag happens and how you can think that you're shooting somebody, but on the host machine you're way off. So anyway, that's just kind of an interesting little tip about theater mode. But the real purpose of this video is I wanted to actually talk a little bit about history. And before you guys are like, I'm not here to learn, Brass Monkeigh, I just want to see some Call of Duty gameplay. Well, this is related to Call of Duty, so just bear with me. I promise it'll be worth the story. So anyway, for those of you who were not around in the early part of the 20th century, which is most likely all of you, something you may or may not know is that when you picked up a phone, you actually directly were connected to a switchboard operator. And then you would have to tell that switchboard operator who you wanted to talk to, and they would physically connect the cables to route your call. And this was how phone calls worked until after World War II. And after World War II, there were some automated systems that started to replace the human switchboard operators, and it started off in the big cities first, and that's where it was most cost effective to install these new systems, and it slowly worked its way down to the more rural areas. And the last to go were the international operators. There were a certain time period where you could get a automatically routed call in your country, but to call out you would have to call the international operator and tell them the country you were trying to call to. But the point is that this was an industry-wide layoff for these people, and they thought that they were going to be able to have a job and practice this skill that they had learned for the eternity of their careers. And many of them, you know, I mean, telephone operators were not very highly paid individuals, so many of them did not have a lot of training to go elsewhere and perform another job when this one was taken away. So it was a really difficult time for many of these people who had this consistency in their life, and then all of a sudden had it taken away because times changed. And this is not the only example of this in the 20th century. There were massive layoffs in the steel industry as well as in the automotive industry. And, you know, as times changed, there are different demands for different things. Automation comes in, and, you know, people who think that they have a secure job practicing a skill that they've learned for years may not always have that opportunity and ability. You know, sometimes things change, and you know, you thought that you were going to be able to do something forever, and then you're not, and then you have very limited options. You know, what are you going to do when that opportunity is taken away? You know, something that you've been used to for a very long time, used to doing, and now you can't do it anymore. What do you do? Well, you really have two options. You can, in the case of the industry-wide unemployment events, many people relied on the government for a period of time to provide them with unemployment benefits and, you know, something that would basically put food on the table until they were able to find another job. Well, the problem is many of those jobs never came back. You know, a lot of the manufacturing jobs went overseas, and so those people who were just trained in that particular skill, they lost their jobs, and they were never able to find new ones again because they didn't retrain. Well, there the only other option that those people had is to retrain and get new skills and find a job that, you know, that was in the economy and that there was room for them to do, because their old skill, there was really no need for it anymore. And the way that this all relates to Black Ops is with quickscoping. There are a lot of people who became accustomed to quickscoping in Modern Warfare 2, and now that doesn't exist anymore. And so, you know, this is a skill that these people practiced for a long time, and they became used to it. And now they don't enjoy using a regular sniper, and maybe they don't even enjoy using automatic guns. But you know, there's certain people who I'm talking about, and not every quickscoper can't pick up an automatic and do well with that too, or do well with a regular sniper rifle. But there are a lot of people who still complain, and you know, these are people who I've talked to on the YouTube videos or whatever, on my apps, and they're still unhappy about the lack of quickscoping in Black Ops. And those are the people who really only have a couple options. They can either complain about it and go back to Modern Warfare 2, where a game where you can quickscope, or they can retrain and adapt to the changing constraints of the game. And I think that this is really sort of a microcosm of life, because times do change, and you know, you can't always predict what's going to happen, and you know, you don't know what the next game is going to bring or what the next year of life is going to bring. So for those people who are able to adapt to the changing environment, those are the ones who are going to succeed. And you know, this really actually is a pretty important message, because things are going to happen in all of our lives where we can't predict what happens next. But the people who are able to adapt to the new situations better and faster are the ones who are going to have an easier time. The people who sort of delay and are unhappy and complain about it and don't work to better themselves are the ones who are going to have a much more difficult time adapting to new situations. So what I did here was I tried to do a gameplay where I used the WA-2000, which of course is one of the sniper rifles, and try and get a good score with it. And it really is possible to do that. Now, I know at the end I pulled out the pistols a bit more and rushed around, but it is very possible to get any of the top kill streaks with a sniper rifle. And what I found is the WA-2000 with extended mags seems to work the best for me, and that's what I used here. And I think I wound up going 32-3, which is a pretty respectable score. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, it does take time to relearn things, but it's certainly worth it. So thanks for watching.